Welcome to the IT Career Energizer podcast. For anyone who wants to build and grow a career in IT, develop and improve your strengths and skills, be inspired and motivated by the successes of others, manage your career progression, and achieve your IT career goals. And now, your host, Phil Burgess.
Welcome to episode 266 of the IT Career Energizer podcast. My guest on today's show is a former IT professional who is now on a mission to help 10,000 people pleasers become confident and to do what they love. He teaches his clients how to find their purpose and how to powerfully share their stories so that they stand out in the job search process. So welcome to the IT Career Energizer podcast, Brad Finkeldei.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. I'm really happy to be here. Happy to help.
Great. Brad, can you tell us a little bit about why you transitioned out of IT and are now obviously more focused on career development?
Yeah, I'll make it really simple. Is that I am a geek and I am a nerd and I love tech and I have for a long time. But I have a passion for people. And I didn't realize that when I was in my tech career. I didn't realize that because I had gotten stuck behind the computer for so long. And it wasn't until I had a conversation with my first experience with a coach. And she's like, Brad, I can tell you're not very confident and that you're using your big paycheck to impress people. And that was the first time that like someone told me the truth that I didn't want to hear, but I knew it was true in the moment. And I kind of like say I was like a gut punch of reality or a slap in the face, but a good kind of one, you know, and that woke me up and I started this journey to become a coach and I left the my IT career and it's been a wild, exciting, horrible, awesome, terrible, blessed journey since then.
Right. And how long have you been doing this?
I left in 2013 and then so I've been doing it ever since really 2013. That's when the journey started.
Right. Okay. Good. Okay. So Brad, can you share with us a career tip, one that the audience may not be aware of and perhaps should be?
Yeah. So, you know, right before I was rereading the notes here and I was like, you know what? The biggest issue for me was not really speaking up for myself. And really, I mean, that can come in so many different forms at work and at home, but specifically at work where you can leave a meeting and you're like, I wish I would have said that. I wish I would have shared my idea. But you feel ignored or you feel like you're going to hurt someone's feelings if you really speak up, or it's just not your turn, quote unquote. So my, number one tip is like, have the guts to speak up and really share what your heart says that needs to be said in the moment. Like if you know a project's about to crash and burn, it's part of your duty to share something. And that even goes if it's your fault, if you put out some code or you put out, something that you're like, oh man, I know, that's going to cause the team over in India to have a lot of issues. Well, I'll call them in the morning, speak up for yourself and admit that you might have done something wrong, or share something that, will make a difference for the whole team.
Do you think that's something that probably more people who are earlier in their careers are should we say, more likely not to speak up?
I would definitely say that. I would say it was something I didn't do as much. I'd sit there behind, the desk or in a meeting and I'd have all these ideas, some of them great, some of them horrible. And I just wouldn't share, and I would regret it afterwards. And I know I've talked to a lot of people where, they want to say this or they want to say that, but they want to get it right a lot of times, like they, especially in an engineering role, like the analytical mind is brilliant and it has its purpose. But when your heart says something or something from your gut that's just like, that's just not right, but you don't know the answer, the analytical mind wants to say, well, you've got to know the answer before we do anything. And then you shut down because you don't want to be rejected or something inside that realm. And it can be a tough process until you start actually speaking up and realizing, wait a minute, not everybody's going to kill me if I do.
Very true. Yes. I mean, it could be worse, couldn't it? If you leave it the situation could just get worse or deteriorate.
Oh, completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, Brad, can you share with us your worst career moment and what you learned from that experience?
Yeah. This one, when I first was, going over this, and I was like, oh, what did I mess up? What did I really, like, did I shut a whole system down? And I know I've done that, cause an outage at night or something like that. Um, but that wasn't my worst moment. My worst moment was when the manager of the team that I was on asked me to step up and become, a leader. And I turned him down because in the moment I didn't want to take on the responsibility. I didn't want to be up at all hours of the night and be working 24/7. I was really selfish about that decision. But what I realized is that, and I didn't realize this until years later. And I actually, what I realized was my boss saw something in me I didn't see in myself. He saw my ability to lead. He saw my ability to work with people on like a deeper level and to inspire them and to kind of help them along with whatever it was, we were dealing with. I didn't see that. I didn't see that within myself. And several years later, I realized that, and I reached back out to him. It's been a long time, and I said, "Hey, I appreciate what you saw in me. 8, 5, 10 years ago. I forget the time." And he was really appreciative. He was like, "Yeah, I saw that in you, basically." And so, yeah, that would be the worst moment because my career would be a whole different trajectory right now. So.
So you've taken that and obviously, used that within your own career.
No, yeah, yeah. It's something that I think a lot of people deal with is like, I think I can do this, but I don't really think I can. Like, there's like if you're to look at it like as a layer, like you got your ground layer of something, and you think you're like the earth, but there's something underneath that, like the roots, and you can't see them, but you can tell they're there, and they're telling you you're awesome and you're great and you should do this, but you got this thing on top of you that's kind of weighing you down, and you're like, and it's telling you no, right? And it's hard to hear, hard to see and understand. But once you hit it, man, it feels really great. And you feel really aligned inside of doing whatever that is for yourself.
Yeah. Okay, so moving away from your worst moment, can you tell us about your career highlight to date?
Yeah. So kind of almost the opposite of that. So I had moved from St. Louis to Austin, Texas, and it was a big move for me because I was, moving there, and I didn't really know anybody. But I remember sitting on the side of this the Barton Springs pool, and I was talking to my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, "Man, I think this is going to be my next place." And so I got a job down there, and I did it all remotely. This is before remote was a big thing, and an online interview was a big thing. But we did it. I got down there, and I was like, man, this seems great. The job seems wonderful, like all aligned. And I had done a lot of like back end support. For WebSphere, for some other like web hosting systems. And in the systems that I had worked, I knew what an old archaic system looked like because I also work for AT&T. Um, and I got to this new position, and within 3 weeks, I could tell that it was going to be more of the same of like endless nights and constant maintenance and like their servers and architecture and were old. And I mean like old. And they had a good face on their website. It looked great, but everything in the back end was just archaic. And on top of that, it was for our government. So I mixed those two things in my mind. I said, okay, it's going to have government, red tape. Um, these are old archaic systems. And then I looked at the turnover, and I was like, people aren't staying here at all that very long. And then it hit me. I was like, well, that's probably why they hired me because they needed people. And and so the highlight here is like I could stay where I wanted to be, or I could stay there and not be happy because I just knew the trajectory there. Like you could just see it on everybody's faces. You could see it in middle management, upper management. And I was like, man, no, I'm just not going to do this. Like I could just tell. And I'm like, I'm done. And I said, I put that like energy out there of like, I'm getting a new job. And I put my resume out there and I had a new job in 2 days. And it was awesome.
Yeah, well, that's fast. So, I mean, was there anything you did in particular to enable that to happen so quickly?
um, it was a mental switch. It was there's that really fine line when we're thinking that we want something and then we know we're going to go get it. And at that point in time, I just like there was so much like upset and like no way. I'm not going to spend the same endless nights, supporting these archaic systems. It's just not who I am, right? It's just not like it just what was actually happening underneath all of that, Phil, was I was realizing, I was starting to realize, that I'm more of a people person, but my external was telling me, don't be behind the computer all day. Don't be behind the computer. That's not your core thing. My core thing is I love working with people, like with them, on the phone, over the computer, Zoom now that we're all stuck in our houses, or, face to face. Like when I get to be with someone and help them shift something for themselves so that they can make a belief change and then do something that they absolutely care about. Oh man, it's better than any big paycheck out there.
Yeah. So obviously you're talking about belief, and presumably it's all really about mindset.
Yeah. Yep. And that's what that highlight was. It's like I believed that I could get a job because I knew I had the skills. And I also knew like this is not for me, like the position I was in.
Okay. Um,
Yeah.
Brad, can you tell us what excites you about the future of the IT industry and careers in IT in particular?
Um, what excites me the most is that everything keeps getting simpler and easier.
Yes.
Like if you watched the SpaceX flight a few weeks ago, two astronauts looking at three big screens, they're touch screens. And you compare that to, 20, 30 years ago when we were sending people up in space and, thousands of buttons and like, which is that, and, like all over the place. And same thing with like, hosting websites and building applications, coding and languages have gotten easier and easier and easier to implement. I mean, we're doing this over the internet right now on a browser.
Yep.
How cool is that?
Indeed.
And you could press stop right now and have all the control.
I mean, yes, you mentioned the difference in the sort of the SpaceX dashboard as it was. I did see a post, I think it was on social media, where they showed I think it was the Apollo 11, one of the space shuttle dashboards, and then obviously the SpaceX, and obviously the difference over what is a 50+ year period is substantial, isn't it? Really significant.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think I saw the same thing. So we're definitely dialed into our audience.
Yes. Right, we're going to go into the reveal round now. We're going to find out a little bit more about you and the way you think. You ready for this?
Yep, I'm ready, man.
Yep. So, what first attracted you to a career in IT?
Um, I love technology from a young age. I was fabricating fake report cards from like 15 years old for a couple years. That was one of my first like loves of technology. I don't do that anymore. Okay. That
Good.
was my little 15, 16-year-old that was duplicating stuff, but I love to like create something that wasn't there before. And, I had an old 386 and I was just fascinated with how things worked and the original like Windows 3.1 and everything, and so that just led me to going into technology, and I got a degree in from DeVry, and it's been ever since then. It's been great.
What is the best career advice you've ever received?
I'm going to say speak up for yourself, because so many people don't share what they really want, whether that's the right job or whether they deserve, a raise, or it's not even that. I think one of the biggest things in IT right now is not being acknowledged enough, because so many systems are behind systems that are behind systems that are behind another system, and you never get the acknowledgement.
Yep. And what is the worst career advice you've ever received?
Do it for the money. That
Yes.
was I made a pivot in my career. My first job, I was a manager, and I did really well in it, because now I realize I'm a people person. I'm a people person who loves tech, but I'm not a tech person. Yeah, I get it now, right? And I made a choice then to go after the money, and it really, wasn't the right idea.
If you were to begin your career again in today's world, what would you do?
Um, I would definitely stay on the track of sticking to my strong points, which is working with people.
Yep.
And I would stay in management and really try to help and lift other people up so they can be the best coders, they can be the best UI UX developers, they can be the best product managers, whatever it is. Like I want to help them be the best at that.
And what's the number one non-technical skill that has helped you in your career so far?
Oh, it's those two things on the side of our ears: listening, listening, and really listening for what other people are going through, because there's that whole thing like leave your home life at the door. It doesn't happen. If you got to fight with your wife or your husband, or your partner, it affects who you are during that day. And if you see that on someone's face, you see they're dealing with something, um, you don't have to get into what they're dealing with, but you can be a compassionate person and say, "Hey, man, it looks like something's going on. Anything you gotta, share, or just kind of get off your shoulders, or hey, let me take a few, tickets and help you out. It looks like you're dealing with something."
Yep. And what career objectives are you currently focusing on?
Speaking up for myself and building my own business. It's a little conundrum of myself for, I've had my own confidence issues and speaking up for myself, throughout my whole journey and even before inside of tech. And so now my objective is to really, start to be the voice for the person that wants to speak up, not so I can speak for them. That's not my job. My job's to enable them, and be a catalyst so that they can do whatever they want to do in the world and not feel held back.
What do you do to keep your own career energized?
Um, Service. I got really clear on this is that one of the reasons why I wasn't very happy is because I wasn't actually working with people and getting that instant feedback, of like, hey, thanks for your help, or I really appreciate what you did here. And in my business, I get that now, and I do remember when I was doing a little bit of consulting work, and working with a company that I took on, their we took on their IT department and transferred it in, and just that, they didn't have that before. They didn't have someone that actually cared, and getting that feedback um, keeps me energized. Of like, you know, it's that acknowledgement. It's really easy to miss it, especially with social media nowadays and so many things trying to grab our attentions. But when it happens, man, it can feel really great, and people will go out of their way to either get it or to. I will try to go out of my way now to give it because I know what it means.
And what do you do in your spare time? I would say away from technology, but it's probably not as relevant. But what do you do outside of your day-to-day work?
I love to travel. Last year, I renovated an RV and I traveled the country. And so travel's a big thing for me. Also, I love going out and hiking, get out in nature, yoga, meditation. And most recently, really got into this whole thing called A Course in Miracles, and that's been sucking my attention. It's made a big difference for me too. So,
Okay. And Brad, can you share a parting piece of career advice with the IT Career Energizer audience?
yeah, if there's that little voice in you, that says something's not right, investigate what that is for you. Whether that's a career shift, whether that's a fine tuning adjustment, whether that's a whole career pivot, right? Listen to that because here's the thing, it won't ever go away until you address it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And finally, Brad, what's the best way we can find out more about you and connect with you?
Yeah. So um, you can go to my website, bradfinkeldei.com. But if you don't know how to spell my name, which took me a while to learn too, and it's my name, you can go to don'tbeachickendowhatyoulove.com. Part of my mission is giving away 10,000 little tiny rubber chickens to inspire people and remind them to not let that little thing of fear hold them back. And it's the tiny little rubber chickens are an inspiration that I took on from a man that encouraged me, and he gave me a tiny little rubber chicken, and he was killed in a terrorist attack about a year after I met him. And I decided to take his mission and keep paying that forward throughout my life. So that's where the don't be a chicken, do what you love comes from.
Right. Okay. Good. Well, thank you for sharing that story. That's interesting to hear.
Yeah.
Brad, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. It's been great chatting with you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Phil. Thanks. I appreciate the opportunity.
Hi, Phil here again. Well, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with today's guest. You can find full show notes on the website at itcareerenergizer.com/e and the number of the episode you've been listening to. If you haven't already subscribed to the show, please make sure that you do so that you get episodes automatically downloaded to your device every Monday. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Thanks for listening to the IT Career Energizer podcast. To find out more about building a successful career in IT, visit itcareerenergizer.com.